Welcome back to the deep dive. And for this one, I'd say grab a glass of water. Seriously, you can pause this if you need to. Go get one because you are going to need it.
Mm.
Today, we are heading directly into the furnace. And I don't just mean, a nice day at the beach with a bit of summer sun.
No.
I'm talking about the kind of oppressive, suffocating heat that dries out the earth until it turns to powder, it cracks the pavement, and, well, if you stay in it long enough, maybe it cracks the human mind, too.
It does.
We're looking at a stack of materials surrounding the case of the Hadler family in Kiewarra, Australia. It's a story that starts with a drought and ends with 3 coffins.
It is a heavy one today. And you're right, we are looking at a narrative that really explores the breaking point of a community.
A whole community.
You have the setting, Kiewarra, which is essentially a pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
The source material describes a drought that has lasted 2 full years. El Niño has taken hold. And the way the text describes it is, it's just so visceral.
It's not just hot weather, is it?
No, not at all. It's an environmental disaster. You have farmers literally shooting their livestock because there's no feed, there's no water. The town is just shimmering under this burning blue sky day after day after day. It's absolutely unrelenting.
Yeah, the imagery is intense right from the very first page. There's this one line in the prologue that really stuck with me. It says, the blowflies didn't discriminate.
Oh, yeah.
To them, there was little difference between a carcass and a corpse. That is horrifyingly practical, isn't it?
It's so practical. It sets a very specific tone. It establishes nature as this completely indifferent, overwhelming force. The flies are thriving, even if the ton is dying.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us right to the discovery of the bodies. It's actually the flies that draw attention to the farmhouse in the first place.
Right.
The front door is described as swinging open like an invitation, and inside it's just a scene of absolute devastation. You have Luke Hadler, his wife Karen, and their 6-year-old son Billy, all dead from gunshot wounds.
And the only sound in the house, which gives me chills just thinking about it, is a baby crying.
A baby crying.
Charlotte, 13 months old. Found dehydrated in her cot, but somehow alive.
That survival is a key anomaly. It's something we are absolutely going to come back to. But let's look at the official story first.
Okay.
The initial reading by the authorities, specifically the police from the nearby town of Clyde, is a straightforward murder-suicide.
Right. The narrative is that Luke Hadler, who's described as a well-liked, hard-working farmer, finally just snapped.
Snapped under the pressure of the drought, yeah. He allegedly shot his wife and son, then drove out to a clearing and turned the gun on himself.
Which, sadly, fits a pattern we hear about too often in these kinds of desperate rural communities. Farmer snaps under pressure. It's a tragedy, but it's an explainable tragedy. It sort of wraps things up.
It puts a neat bow on it.
But our deep dive mission today is to unpack exactly why that narrative might be completely wrong. We're going to look beyond that simple explanation because there are cracks in this story wide enough to drive a year through.
I like that. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the vehicle for our investigation, pun intended, is a man named Aaron Falk.
Let's talk about Falk. He is our protagonist here, our way into this story. He's a federal police investigator based in Melbourne, and his specialty is financial intelligence. So he's a numbers guy. He chases money laundering, embezzlement, that sort of thing. But he's from Kiewarra originally.
He is, but he's not exactly a hometown hero returning for a victory lap. Not at all.
No.
The text describes him as being physically out of place now. He's pale, has almost albino-like features, and he burns incredibly easily. He spent 20 years in the shadows of a city office. So returning to this harsh, relentless sun is physically dangerous for him.
But emotionally, it's even worse.
Oh, way worse. He hasn't been back in 20 years, and for a very, very good reason. He is a pariah in that town.
Yeah, he really drags his heels about getting there, doesn't he? He literally calculates exactly how long he has to stay.
The bare minimum.
Funeral, wake, one night, gone, 18 hours max. That's his plan. But he's been dragged back by a letter, and this is the hook, right? A note from Jerry Hadler, Luke's father.
It's such a cryptic and powerful message. It's just 8 words, written with this heavy, pressing hand. It just says, Luke lied. You lied. Be at the funeral.
Luke lied. You lied.
I mean, talk about a guilt trip. That is not an invitation you can possibly ignore.
No way.
So Falk drives into this oven of a town, and we move into section 1. The return to Kiewarra and the funeral.
And the funeral scene is just a masterclass in atmospheric tension. You have this small country church, packed to the rafters. It's unbelievably hot. The air conditioning is rattling and failing. There's a bottleneck of mourners trying to get in and out.
But the thing that really stands out is Falk's isolation.
Complete isolation. He finds a spot against the back wall, basically trying to be invisible.
Which is hard when you're the guy the whole town whispers about.
Mm.
But the part that really got me was the slideshow. You know how funerals have those photo montages? Usually they're heartwarming. This one, well, it turned into a bit of an interrogation for Falk. It really did. It forced him to confront the past he's been running from. They show photos of Luke growing up and then pictures of Karen and little Billy. It's all incredibly tragic. But then a photo from 20 years ago flashes up on the screen.
And the whole mood shifts.
It's a picture of a teenage foursome. You've got Aaron Falk, Luke Hadler, a girl named Gretchen Schoner, and another girl named Ellie Deacon.
The gang of four, they were apparently inseparable. But seeing that photo, Falk, Luke, Gretchen, and Ellie, it just sucks the air out of the room. Because Ellie Deacon is the ghost that's been haunting this town for 2 decades, isn't she?
She is. Her death 20 years ago is the reason Falk left and never came back.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get into the specifics of that later. But the reaction in that church is palpable.
Yeah.
A woman sees Falk and whispers, "The Falk boy's back."
And it just spreads like wildfire. He does manage to find one friendly face, though. Gretchen Schoner. She's part of that group. She was in the photo. She intercepts him outside the church. And honestly, thank God for Gretchen. She seems like the only person who isn't looking at Falk like he's some kind of disease.
Gretchen provides such a crucial ground-level perspective. She's still there, living the reality of the drought. She's a single mom now, raising her son Lackey, trying to run a sheep farm, all on her own.
She describes the town as being in a zombie state.
Yeah, zombie state. People are just watching each other, waiting to see who's going to snap next. It's this awful, tense waiting game.
And she gives Falk some insight into Luke, too, which is important. She tells him that Luke seemed normal.
Right.
He wasn't waving a gun around or acting crazy. He was stressed, sure, but no more than anyone else in town. Everyone was at their breaking point.
Which just reinforces the doubt, doesn't it?
Yep.
If Luke was about to annihilate his entire family, he hit it incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
But while Gretchen is, this one welcoming face, the rest of the town is just relentlessly hostile. We see this at the wake. There's a guy, Grant Dow.
Ellie Deacon's cousin.
Her cousin, yes. And he is just brimming with aggression. He makes a huge scene screaming about Luke, calling him a butcher. But his real hatred, it feels like it's laser-focused on Falk.
There's nothing here for you except people who remember. That's the vibe he's getting from everyone.
Yeah.
But the most significant encounter, the one that really changes things, happens after the wake, away from all the prying eyes. Falk goes to see Luke's parents, Jerry and Barb Hadler.
And this is just a heartbreaking scene. You have Barb holding onto that baby, Charlotte, like she's a lifeline.
Yeah.
And she is in total, absolute denial. She refuses to believe Luke did this. She is convinced it has to be about money.
She thinks he must have had bad debts, right? Like a loan shark came calling.
Exactly. And she wants Falk, the financial investigator from the city, to look at the books, to find this other explanation.
She's just clutching at straws, but you can't blame her. I mean, what else can she do? She needs an alternative narrative to survive this.
Of course. But Jerry has a completely different agenda. He waits till Barb is out of the room. He pulls Falk aside, gives him a whiskey, and just drops an absolute bombshell.
This connects back to the letter.
It connects everything back to the letter. Jerry admits that he knows Luke and Falk lied about their alibi 20 years ago.
The day Ellie Deacon died?
The day she died. Falk and Luke claimed they were out shooting rabbits together. But Jerry reveals he saw Luke alone that day. He knows they weren't together. He knows they lied to the police.
So for 20 years, Jerry has kept this secret. He knew his son lied, and now he's asking Falk a question that is just, it's devastating.
He asks him, did Luke lie to protect you or to protect himself?
Wow.
And it introduces this concept of inherited sin. Jerry is just tormented by the idea that by keeping Luke's secret all those years ago, he might have allowed Luke to walk free from something, and maybe, just maybe, that laid the groundwork for this tragedy.
He's wondering if the blood of his grandchildren is on his hands.
That's what he asks. It's so heavy. And it completely traps Falk. He can't just leave now. He can't. He owes it to Jerry and Barb to at least look into it.
Which brings us to Section 2, the anomalies. Because Falk isn't the only one with doubts. We have to introduce Sergeant Greg Racco.
I find Racco so fascinating. He's the new guy. He's from the city originally and moved from South Australia.
So he wasn't there 20 years ago?
Exactly. He doesn't have the baggage. He doesn't have the ingrained bias against Falk. He's just a diligent, capable cop who is totally overwhelmed by what's happened.
And he's the one who found the bodies.
He is. And that experience, I mean, the description of him finding the bodies, finding little Billy, it clearly haunts him. And because of that, he is not willing to just stamp case closed and move on.
He's got a gut feeling that something is wrong.
A powerful one. And he shares this with Falk. He kind of unofficially deputizes him, lets him look at the evidence.
And it turns out Rocco has done some unofficial digging of his own, and he's found tangible physical evidence that contradicts the official story.
The biggest one is the ammunition. We can call this the forensic mismatch.
Okay, let's unpack this. This is the smoking gun, literally.
It really is. So Luke was killed with Remington shots. The entire family was killed with Remington shots.
Okay, Remingtons.
But when Rocco inventories the entire farm, every shed, every cupboard, the only ammunition found on Luke's property is Winchester.
Ah.
Not a single Remington shell, not a single empty Remington box, nothing.
So if Luke did it, where did he get the Remington shells? And just as importantly, where's the box they came from?
Exactly. Rocco searched everywhere. He even looked under the house where Jerry told him Luke used to hide porn magazines as a kid. Nothing.
If Luke didn't own Remington ammo, then who brought it to the farm?
It implies a third party. Someone else was there.
Right.
And that's just the physical evidence. Rocco also profiles the crime scene, and he argues the psychology just doesn't fit a murder-suicide committed by a father.
Right. Okay, let's look at Karen's death first. She was shot answering the front door.
Which Rocco argues is incredibly impersonal. Family annihilators usually kill in a fit of rage, or maybe quietly in their sleep. But shooting your wife as she opens the door, it's like a stranger knocking.
It suggests she didn't know the killer was a threat until the door was already open. If it was Luke, she would have just let him in.
Precisely. It doesn't track. And then there's Billy. This is the one that just makes me sick. Billy's room was completely tossed. The wardrobe was open. The bed was turned over. Rocco says it looked like a hunt.
A hunt.
And his point is chillingly logical. A father knows his son's hiding spots. Rocco says if he wanted to find his own nieces or nephews in their house, he'd know exactly where to look. Under the bed, in the closet, he wouldn't have to tear the room apart.
So the state of that room suggests the killer didn't know Billy, didn't know where a 6-year-old boy would hide.
Exactly. It's the action of a stranger, not a father.
And then there's the survival of the baby, Charlotte. We mentioned this at the top. She was just steps away from where they found Billy.
And this is a huge paradox for the murder-suicide theory. If Luke was in a red mist rage, a complete psychotic break, why would he stop at the baby? That kind of rage doesn't just switch off.
Right, and if you take the other awful possibility that it was a mercy killing because of the drought, as some people in town suggested,
then leaving a 13-month-old to slowly dehydrate in a cot alone isn't exactly merciful, is it? It's the cruelest death imaginable.
It really points to someone else, someone who maybe didn't see the baby as a witness. A baby can't identify a killer.
A baby can't talk. It points to a calculated crime, not a crime of passion. And then there is the CCTV evidence. This is the timeline anchor for the whole case.
Okay, right. The camera in the barn, it captures the driveway, so what's the timeline?
The footage shows Karen gets home at 4:04 p.m. Then at 5:01 p.m., Luke's ute arrives and pulls up.
But here is the catch.
The huge catch. You can see the ute clearly. You cannot see the driver. The angle, the glare, it's impossible to tell who's behind the wheel.
And the ute just sits there for a while.
It sits there. There's a wait. Then the microphones pick up the shots. Dull boom. Then silence. Then another boom. A few minutes later, the ute drives away.
And when they eventually found Luke's body, he wasn't in the driver's seat.
Not even close. He was in the tray of the ute, the open back part.
Like cargo.
Like cargo. And Rocco noticed these unexplained streaks in the dust of the tray. It looked like something else had been in there with him, or maybe dragged across it. It raises the massive question. Was Luke even driving his own car when it arrived at the farmhouse?
Or was he already dead in the back?
It's a real possibility.
So we have missing ammo, a killer who doesn't know the kid's hiding spots, a baby left alive for no logical reason, and a driver we can't identify. That's certainly enough to justify Falk staying around.
More than enough.
So in Section 3, Falk does what he does best. He follows the money.
He spends the entire night going through the Hadler farm accounts, fulfilling his promise to Barb. He's looking for the bad debts she's so convinced must exist.
And what does he find?
And he finds nothing. Absolutely nothing. The farm was struggling. There's no doubt about that. But they were no worse off than anyone else in Kiewarra.
Karen was a meticulous bookkeeper, wasn't she?
Incredibly meticulous. There are no massive unaccounted withdrawals, no payments to shady offshore accounts, no red flags of any kind. He even checks their insurance. It's just a basic superannuation life insurance, not enough to be a motive for fraud.
So the loan shark theory is looking pretty thin.
It's basically dead in the water, but the investigation into the finances does lead them somewhere important, to the local school and to the principal, Scott Whitlam.
And this visit provides some crucial context about Karen's state of mind just before she died.
It does. And the school itself is such a depressing backdrop. The source material describes rust on the equipment, a general feeling of poverty, and these sad drawings from the kids, like one titled, "Toffee My Cow in Heaven." It just shows how deeply the drought is affecting the children.
Toffee my cow in heaven. Man, that is just bleak. But Whitlam tells him something really interesting about Karen.
He reveals that the day before she died, Karen came to see him, and she was in real distress. She was making uncharacteristic errors in her work for the school.
Which was not like her at all.
Not at all. And she told Whitlam that she feared the farm was going under, that they had maybe 6 months left.
Okay, so she was terrified about the finances.
She was. But here's the key detail. She said Luke refused to believe it. He was in denial about how bad things were. And crucially, she hadn't told him that she was spreading this news. She was afraid of his reaction.
So that adds a layer of marital tension, for sure.
It does. But then Whitlam drops another piece of information that just turns the tragedy up to 11. It's a real twist of fate.
The play date.
The play date. Yes. Billy, their son, was supposed to be at the principal's house for a play date that very afternoon.
If he had gone, he would have been safe. He would be alive right now.
He would be alive. But Karen canceled at the last minute. She called and claimed Billy was feeling under the weather. Whitlam and his wife just thought it was a bug, something kids get. But in hindsight, you have to ask the terrible questions.
Yeah.
Was the cancellation coerced? Was Karen already under threat from someone? Or was it just the most tragic, awful timing imaginable?
It's those sliding doors moments that just keep you up at night. But while they are investigating the Hadler murders, the town keeps dragging Falk back to the past. Which brings us to Section 4, the shadow of the past Ellie Deacon. We have to talk about the elephant in the room here.
We do. Because you cannot understand the hostility that Falk faces without understanding what happened to Ellie Deacon.
So, lay it out for us. The Gang of Four. Falk, Luke, Gretchen, Ellie. What happened?
20 years ago, Ellie Deacon was found drowned in the Kiewarra River. Her pockets were full of stones.
Which would suggest suicide.
It does, on the surface.
Yeah.
But the town, for 20 years, has believed that Aaron Falk killed her. Or, at the very least, that he was involved somehow.
And the reason they believe that is the alibi we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. The lie. Falk and Luke told everyone, including the police, that they were out shooting rabbits together on the Kiewarra Road paddocks at the time of Ellie's death.
But as Jerry Hadler just confirmed to Falk, that was a complete lie. They weren't together.
And here's the piece of evidence that sealed Falk's fate in the town's eyes. A piece of paper was found in Ellie's pocket when they pulled her from the river. On it was written the name Falk.
Just his name, Falk.
Just the name. And the date of that day. It's incredibly damning, isn't it? From the town's perspective, why was his name in her pocket? And why did he lie about where he was?
He had no good answers for that at the time.
None. So now, 20 years later, Falk is back. And Ellie's father, Mel Deacon, is still there, and he is not happy to see him.
No. The confrontation at the local pub, The Fleece, is just incredibly intense. Mel Deacon is described as being senile, but also very aggressive.
Right. He mistakes Aaron for his father at first, which just shows you his mental state. But then his focus sharpens, and he accuses Falk right there in the middle of the pub.
And Grant Dow, the cousin, is right there egging him on. It's a classic mob mentality. Rocco actually has to step in and de-escalate.
He does. But Rocco, being a good cop, asks the million-dollar question afterwards. He asks Falk directly, are the two crimes connected?
And Falk hopes not.
He desperately hopes not. But he can't ignore the parallel, the rabbit shooting alibi. 20 years ago, Luke and Falk used shooting rabbits as their cover story for the day Ellie died.
And on the day of the Hadler murders, Luke was supposedly shooting rabbits.
It's a chilling echo across 2 decades.
And that echo leads us directly to our final major witness in this part of the investigation. Section 5, the last witness, Jamie Sullivan.
Falk and Rocco go to visit Jamie Sullivan to verify Luke's movements on the day of the murder. Jamie is the last person to admit seeing Luke alive.
Jamie is a bit of an odd character from the description. He lives with his grandmother in this house that's just filled with china figurines. It's described as a weird museum.
A bit unsettling. But Jamie confirms this story. He says Luke came over to help cull rabbits around 3:00 p.m. He says Luke seemed normal, but maybe a little distracted.
And Luke said something strange to him, didn't he? Something about bloody women.
Yeah, bloody women and always something happening.
Which is vague, but it suggests some frustration with Karen. Maybe that financial stress she'd mentioned to Whitlam was finally coming to a head between them.
It's possible. But here's the critical detail that Jamie provides, and it's about the ammunition.
Right.
Jamie says he supplied the Winchester ammo for their rabbit shoot that afternoon.
So Luke was definitely using Winchester ammo just a couple of hours before the murders. Jamie didn't see him with any Remingtons.
Not at all, which just keeps the mystery of the murder weapon alive. If Luke left Jamie's farm with Winchesters, where did the Remingtons come from on that short drive home?
It makes no sense. And then there's the grandmother, Mrs. Sullivan. She's just sitting there quietly during the interview.
Yes, and this is a blink and you'll miss it moment, but Falk, with his investigator's eye, catches it. Jamie claims that after Luke left, he just stayed home alone with his grandmother for the rest of the evening.
Okay.
But when he says this, Falk notices a micro-expression from the old woman. She looks up in sharp surprise, just for a second, and then quickly looks down at her lap.
Like she knows he's lying.
Exactly. It's the kind of reaction that says, that's not what happened. So is Jamie lying about his alibi for that evening? Did he leave the farm after Luke? Could he have driven the ute?
Or is the grandmother just old and confused? It's another question mark.
It's a big one. It casts a huge shadow of doubt over Jamie's whole story.
So we've got a town just full of secrets, a complete mismatch of evidence, and a protagonist who is caught between two enormous tragedies 20 years apart. In our outro, we see Falk make a choice.
He could leave. He really could. He has his car keys in his hand. The funeral's over. He's done his 18 hours. He could just get in his car and drive back to his life in Melbourne.
But he doesn't. He decides to stay. And it's the guilt that keeps him there, isn't it?
It's a combination of things, I think. It's the guilt over Barb, who was like a mother to him when he was a kid. It's the promise he made to Jerry. And it's this resurfaced memory.
The memory of the rabbit incident from childhood.
Yeah. This memory surfaces of him and Luke as kids, and Luke killing a pet rabbit with this cold indifference, just snapping its neck and saying, it died.
Chilling.
And it suggests a potential for coldness in Luke that Falk had suppressed or forgotten. Falk needs to know. Was his best friend a monster all along?
So he makes a call. He calls his office in Melbourne, and he takes a week of personal leave. He's in. He's committed.
And the mysteries he has to solve are just substantial. Why did the ammo not match? Who was driving the ute in that CCTV footage? Why was the baby spared when the little boy wasn't? What was Karen so afraid of regarding the farm finances?
And the big one. The ghost that hangs over everything. Did Luke kill Ellie Deacon 20 years ago, and is that somehow connected to his own death now?
It all comes back to the dry. That's the character that's always present. The heat pressing down, making people snap, making secrets harder to keep. Is the town hiding a killer in plain sight? Or was Luke Hadler a monster who just wore a mask of normalcy for decades?
And as the source material says, to solve this crime, Falk has to do one thing. To understand the present, Falk has to dig up the one thing Kiewarra has plenty of. Dirt.
And there is so much dirt to go around. We'll be watching very closely as Falk starts digging.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, and try to stay cool out there.